Welcome to Sonia's podcast and Facebook Live and YouTube Live. Tonight we're talking about healing naturally. Yay! It's very important to first review why are we not healing naturally anymore, right? Because we've forgotten that we can do that. Because it takes a little longer sometimes healing naturally, right? But what we don't understand is that if we're healing naturally, we're actually healing the cause and not just the symptom. And the whole purpose of medicine nowadays seems to be to keep pushing us forward and keeping us moving, even despite the fact that it's time for us to maybe slow down or stop and covering our symptoms. And it has to be quick because we have to be back on our feet, we have to be back to work, we have to. And so all these medicines out there have been created with the idea in mind that, well, you have no more symptoms, you're fine. Unfortunately, if you don't have any more symptoms that can show up because you're masking them or covering them up, you're doing yourself a great disservice because you're not listening to the messages you're receiving from your body. Your body is trying to tell you something. And we have forgotten how to listen. The technique of healing naturally goes back to shamans in tribes. And it doesn't matter which tribe it is. There was always a healer amongst them. The tribes that traveled or those that stayed put always had a place where they would bring the sick and the injured. And a group of people would be dedicated to taking care of the sick and making them feel better and bringing them back to health. One of the beauty of living in a tribe was that the shaman actually got to know you. He saw you grow up and he saw where your difficulties were and he knew you well. So it was easy for him when you went to his tent or his cabin or his wagon on wheels to say, I'm not feeling well. And you would say, yes, I saw this coming. Right? The role of the shaman is not to interfere. Is to wait until he is being asked or she is being asked for help. Until then, they can only observe what is happening and what in the world is being created from these interactions that we have, from these actions that we are doing. Nowadays, we go to the doctor, and most of the time, because of the shortages of doctors everywhere, they don't know us. Or we go to the emergency because we waited so long, now we need an emergency kind of situation and care. And they have no idea who you are. And they don't want to get to know you either. Because they have a long list of people they got to see. And so they just want to know, where does it hurt and what's your problem? Here you go, this is fixing it, get out. This often goes with the fact that we put a lot of faith in their diagnosis and what they say to us. Now, earlier today was very interesting because we actually were talking about this, and I have heard these stories where a doctor would say, well, I'm so sorry, you'll never walk again. And you have some people who go, oh, okay, and they accept this, and then you have other people that are going, I'm going to be walking again. I don't care what you say. And this is the key to the difference of healing and not healing, changing or not changing. It goes back to, what do we believe? And if we believe that we put all our faith in the normal medical medicine, modern science, that whatever they say is what goes, well then, whatever they say goes. It's where you put your faith, it's where you put your energy. Now, if you want to start thinking differently, and you want to put your faith somewhere else, put your faith back in yourself, put your faith back in the higher power, and say, I can do this, then you definitely can. The shaman was there to help the community remember that. He wasn't a religious leader. He was more of a guide, showing the way and sharing the teaching that had been passed down from one generation to the next. And what's interesting, after all these hundreds of years, is that science is finally catching up. It's finally reaching the knowledge that shamans have had for hundreds of years. For example, in science, they can measure energy, right? And so they can actually take a picture of a plant and see the energy that is emanating from the plant. And they can put a person and see the energy emanating from this person. They're like, oh, so the energy is beyond the body, beyond the physical body of a person. It expands and it retracts, depending on the kind of music they were playing, or what kind of light was shining in, or what kind of topic they were discussing. Even just discussing a certain topic was making the energy either grow or contract. Then they started measuring the frequencies that were being emitted, because they finally understood that energy, frequency, they're all the same things. And frequency is just a form of energy, the form that energy takes. Energy can take the form of light, it can take the form of waves, and it all comes down to frequency. Another thing that science finally figured out. Because when you're looking at a rainbow outside, you're seeing the 7 colors. But there are colors that are on a different frequency that we can't, with our human eyes, actually see. So they discovered that everything has a frequency, and everything can be measured. And then they started comparing the frequencies and doing experiments with the human body. What happens to certain frequencies, or when certain frequencies are aimed at certain parts of the body? Right? And that's how we get x-rays, and that's how we get radiation, and that's how we get the things we don't see. So science is finally realizing, there are unseen things, maybe now that we've discovered them in 2019, perhaps there are other things that we have not discovered yet that we cannot see. Right? Because there was a time where science was saying we know everything. This is the smallest particle in the world, the electron. And then, hold and behold, they find the quantum particles. And so they're realizing their limitation. They can only go as far as their measuring tools go. So there's a Japanese gentleman that conducted an experiment and decided to freeze water, but while he was freezing the water, he was putting certain words on it, like love or hate or so you can say it out loud.
Okay, Mother Teresa and Hitler.
Right. So he did do Mother Teresa and Hitler. And what happened is, for the words that had a connotation, that were holding a higher vibration of energy, a higher positive, like love, compassion, forgiveness, or Mother Teresa, it was creating beautiful, beautiful snowflakes when he was freezing it. But for words like hate, war, Hitler, and other things like that, it would become, the water itself became murky. The water was dirty, but it was the same water source for everything. Everything was done the same way. The only thing that was different was the word on the container that he was freezing. It was really, really, really unique, but that means that our words have a certain frequency as well. And so does our thoughts. So I'll talk about the thoughts later. But it's important that you realize that when you say something, it carries a frequency. And so therefore, if us humans are made of 80% of water, we are definitely affecting ourselves. But what is water really made of? It's made of H2O, right? So hydrogen and oxygen. And what are hydrogen and oxygen made of? They're made of neutrons, electrons, and positrons, I think in English you guys, protons. And in between that space, we're made of quantum energy. So, you can affect your entire body, because your entire body, the rest that's not made of water, is made with atoms anyway. And so, therefore, in conclusion, it's made with quantum energy. And you can affect your own body with the words that you are using. This is very, very important because if you say, oh, so stupid, I will usually tell my students, clear, cancel, delete. And my students are getting used to it by now. So they repeat clear, cancel, delete. And then they have to come up with a new phrase. But at first people say, oh, it's not a big deal, it's just an expression. But this expression carries a frequency. It carries an energy that is affecting but your ability to do things. Because you think you're stupid. You can't do this. And you'll never be able to do this because you keep repeating, I'm so stupid. So if you're not stupid, therefore, stop saying it. And start saying, what do you want to be? For example, and I always tell the people that I work with, go with something that is believable for you. Right? If you can't say I'm brilliant or I'm intelligent, then actually say, I'm in the process of learning how to do this. And that's something that everybody can agree on. You're not stupid, you just haven't learned it yet. Right? Do you see that the energy is shifting? If you say that to yourself in your head, I'm in the process of learning this. It actually feels good. You're like, yeah, all right, it feels a lot better than saying I'm stupid. And you can do that for any of the phrases that you usually will express without thinking. Because that's your subconscious talking. And you have to clear your subconscious of these phrases that, you pay little attention, and yet it's your indication of what's really going on inside of you and who's really driving the car of your life. Right? So pay attention to your words. So any of you making notes, you want to make notes of that. This week I'll pay attention to my expressions. Or what do I say when I talk to people about me? So that you can start correcting even that. Because even that makes a difference. So we also have new books now. One of them is written by Anthony William, who reverts to just simple food. Food will heal you. But he's not the first one who brought that up. Edgar Casey, gentleman that lived in the 1920s, had thousands of readings for people. And he was telling them how to change their eating habits to be healthy. I remember this reading because it was very interesting. The person's vision was failing them, and they didn't have money for glasses. They're like, is there a way that I could, without glasses, improve my eyes and my ability to read? And they were given a series of exercise to do with their eyes to strengthen their eye muscle in order to, just like you exercise your body, in order to finally be able to use their eyes again. Right? And this is something because we have so many people on their phones all the time. You have no idea how much you're straining your eyes. And if your vision is falling, put the phone down, put the screen down, let your eyes see things, and then exercise your eyes. And this was really cool because my kids had a little Nintendo DS and they were playing, and then all of a sudden they'd go boop, and they'd be very frustrated because the game stopped and said, you've been playing for a very long time. Of course, parent setting, you can set how much of a long time that is. And it is now time for you to do eye exercise, to relax your eyes, to exercise your eyes, and maybe take a break and go outside. The Nintendo DS actually suggested this for kids. And I thought it was brilliant to remind us, you've been on this long enough. You now have that feature on some phones. It can tell you, this is how much time you've been on the phone today. And this is what you're spending your time on the phone. It makes you realize just how much time you're spending on those things. And then the next question, that's the second thing that you can write down, is, I guess I could write them down. Do you mind passing me the cup? Oh, there we are. Okay. So the first one was, watch your words. Right? But the second time is, determine much time do you spend on media? And that includes TV, games, phone, and laptop computers. Okay? And you should be surprised, should not be surprised that it's going to be 4, 5, 6, 8, 10, 12 hours a day. Right? And so, after you determine how much time you spend, I want you to ask yourself, how much of it was actually positive? Right? Do you have a feed that's negative? Do you have a feed that everybody's always complaining? Are you watching videos that are, you know, I don't know, animes or things that are very violent? Or are you watching CSI and then, what's the other one, the violent one, Victims of Crime Unit, and then, you know, everybody's always getting killed, and then you have Criminal Mind. It's like, oh my gosh. There's so many shows that are about death and violence and killing, and this is affecting your frequency, right? So you need to remove some of that junk out and replace it with actually eye-to-eye time with people, or spend time in nature outside, spend time meditating, and these seems like too easy, but those are ways to heal naturally. You have to remove what is affecting you and your body negatively and replace them with something positive. Not just turn off the TV, but actually then go and do something that's going to bring the positiveness back, or the higher frequencies back inside your body. Now, the Native Americans and several tribes around the world use drumming, right? I was watching a video on my feed, and it's a Uganda kid dancing to the drums, and it's amazing. I don't even know if I could keep up with that kid for like even 1 minute. He's moving so much. But he's sharing some of his dance moves with a dancer who came to be inspired. She was looking for new dance moves. And it's really, really cool to see them dance together. But the drumming plays an important role, because what is drumming but another vibration? And the shamans around the world have figured that Mother Earth has a frequency of 7 hertz. They don't have the number. What they figured is if they drum, they can reproduce that 7 hertz. So that's why they drum. They drum different speeds, and they drum different ways to match different things in their environment, to connect to it. It helps the connection. And so, of course, you know, and it doesn't matter if they were the French, the English, the Spanish, the Portuguese, or, you know, whoever came to invade the country and take over and say, you're a bunch of savages, look at that, drumming. Who does that, right? Look, we have music, we have things. But they understood that this was a vital tool to be connected, to adjust their vibration. And now Schumann was able to measure this 7.8 hertz and actually measure the drumming and measure the same frequency. The Tibetan monks, to promote the meditation state and to really enhance their meditation, will either use the ting shots, which are the two little bells, or the Tibetan bowls, to bring the person's vibration to 4 to 8 hertz. So this promotes the meditation to meditative state. Again, it's a point of frequency. Okay? These things were passed down from one generation to the next, and they didn't need a big explanation. That's the way they always did things, and they understood it, and they believed it. So now, incorporating the sounds of either crystal bowls, Tibetan bowls, Feng Shaws, or toning. Toning is the sound that you can make with your voice. Now, if you ever heard a Tibetan monk tone, they can go really low, like they make this sound, and you're thinking, okay, is he singing? Is he actually saying something? He's not. Sometimes they're just making the sound, and the sound is enough. So these sounds may vary from 0.8 to 5 hertz, but they create a rhythmic harmony to help you calm down and meditate, right? So your personal energetic field is affected by everything that surrounds you. So what kind of music are you listening in the car? What kind of TV shows are you watching? What kind of noise are you surrounded with? Now, I have healed my hearing, and I can now hear everything. And I was asking my business partner, I said, okay, so what's this noise? She's looking at me, she's like, what are you talking about? What noise? And I'm like, it sounds like this, tick, tick, tick. And it's driving me crazy. Oh, she says, that's the timer on the dishwasher. I never heard this sound before. And then I'm sitting and we're both very quiet, and we're both, typing away because we got a lot of work to do because the new book is coming out, and we're in the final stage of the translating of French. And I'm like, what's that noise? And she's like, what are you talking about? There's no noise. And I'm like, no, there's a noise. It's like a mouse. It's like, and she's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And so start looking around. It's her playing with her mouse. And the little wheel of the mouse is going. I'm like, okay, it's just that. It's fine. But sounds affect you. Now, if you're not conscious or aware of these vibrations all around you, you're not realizing just how much pollution you're bringing into your aura of just with noise. So we had an experiment, and we went and hiked in the mountain. And I asked the group, and I had a nice group. I had about 6 or 8 people. And I said, okay, so this is to be done in absolute silence. So be careful where you step. Don't purposely step on a branch, right? That creates noise. So we're perfectly at peace. And you can meditate while walking. It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful way to meditate. You don't always have to have your eyes closed. You don't always have to be sitting still. You can meditate in movement. And then all of a sudden it felt like a herd of elephants was coming towards us. And so we all kind of were awakened from our deep state of peace while this group of 10 people walked by, rah, 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 really loud, with a big radio playing, and we're thinking, wow. And then, of course, while you're walking in silence, we could see the little lizard, we could see the little chipmunk, we could see everything. We even saw a deer. Because we were quiet, we weren't disturbing their space. We were as one in this space. It was beautiful. And then the herd of elephants went through, and then they all scattered. Right? And then eventually, the quiet peace came back, and as we continued walking, we started seeing the animals again. This is what it's like to be one with your surroundings. This is what it's like to be linked with what's going on around you. And it's magnificent. So pay attention to what kind of noise is around you. And can you make some peace with, in between, in your day or at your lunchtime, or, do you need to be surrounded with people all the time and be around all this noise? Or can you find this peace? And let it resonate, because peace has a frequency. It's a very high frequency. It's a very sensitive frequency, but it has still a frequency. But to feel it, you can't have anything else interfere. Okay. So, Mother Earth is also helping us heal naturally, because it provides everything we do need in order to heal ourselves. It does so with plants and with herbs and even with crystals. All of those things. We either eat the plants and integrate their frequency inside of us. This is why And I have no problem with people eating meat, really. This isn't a vegan speech. But be aware of the meat that you're choosing to eat. So I'm not saying stop eating meat tomorrow. I'm just saying, where's your meat coming from? Was your meat traumatized? Or does it come from a local farmer who treats his animal with gentleness and, they do still serve the purpose, but they're well treated and they're butchered properly, and so the frequency that you're ingesting is much higher than some of other choices you might make. Ask yourself, how much process has gone into my food? The more your food is processed, the lower the frequency, the lower the energy. We make everything by hand. Yes, it takes longer. I agree with that. It's annoying sometimes because we'd like to just pop open a box or a can and just eat out of the can because we're tired and it's late. But that's why we make larger quantities of food and we store the food and we just warm it up when we need it. Because once you know what goes into the food, you'll be shocked if you start reading the ingredients of what you're actually eating. What are you putting inside your body? Bring your awareness back to you. This is very interesting because I've just recently moved back to where my family lives, and they're inviting me over for dinner, and they know that I'm very particular about my food, and so they ask me, as they're making the salad, do you eat this? I'm like, yeah, it's vegetables, I eat vegetables, no problem. And they're like, oh, would you like some nuts or seeds in your salad? I said, yeah, that would be great. And then they take out this bag out of the pantry, and I'm like, no, not that. And they're like, why not? It's seeds. I said, yes, but let's look at the back. And then we started reading the ingredients, and it contained wheat, and it contained fillers, and it contained a whole bunch of other things that makes the bag heavier. So you're thinking, oh, I'm buying a kilogram of seeds, but you're really buying probably 500 grams of seeds and a whole bunch of other things to make it heavy. That costs very little, but is heavier, and so therefore makes the product more expensive. And so my sister asked me, she's like, oh, so what should I do then? So then you go to the health food store and you buy the same ingredients that you think you're putting in salad, which was pumpkin seed, sunflower seed, and flax. And I said, you make your own mix. But at least you know there's nothing else added. You create your own mix. And then you have the mix just like you have this bag. You know what I mean? I'm not saying you have to go buy one scoop at a time, but you know what you're buying. Because all of these things are what's making people sick. It's all affecting us in the same way. Now, it's sad because we have lost so much knowledge about how, home remedies that used to be known by everyone. Everybody knew what to do if you had a burn. Everybody knew what to do for this, and now we're just trusting all these tubes, and we're like, oh, this is good. I can buy this. This will disinfect. This will do this. This will do that. But you could have natural ways of doing this to take care of yourself that would be less traumatic for your body. For example, a friend of mine's a nurse, and she's like, peroxide is the worst thing to put on a cut or anything to disinfect your wound because it kills not just the germ, but the skin as well. Peroxide kills everything. So your cells are actually being killed while it's also maybe perhaps killing the virus that's not even there. Right? So herbology and naturopaths are hopefully one of these days going to be part of our healthcare system. That we can go see them, not have to pay an arm and a leg to get the natural remedies to heal ourselves. But it's not a bad thing to go and visit them if you're having an illness that doesn't seem to heal. And to see if, once you clear your house of all the chemicals, to see a good consultation is worth the price that you're paying. Right? And this goes for the same as your cleaning product. What are you cleaning with? Right? There's companies out there that are making out of plants and out of essential oils and And there's two very good companies that have excellent cleaning products because I've tried them. And they're completely natural and they don't damage the environment. So we're not just helping ourselves, we're also helping Mother Earth, which is providing the plants in the first place, right? And this is when we develop a spirit of community and a spirit of collaboration, which is, again, what a tribe used to be all about. We looked after each other. And we've lost that. And I think that's why we're polluting the earth so much, because we've lost our sense of responsibility that comes with living on the planet. But before, you were tied to the land, which people are not anymore. Yeah, I was watching a movie, which was really interesting. Girl goes to Ireland, and the guy says, so you want chicken for tonight? And she's like, oh, chicken sounds nice. And so he goes outside, grabs the chicken, breaks the chicken's neck, and she goes, oh! And he says, well, where do you think the chicken comes from? And she's like, supermarket? It's like, well, yes, but eventually it was a chicken that lost its head, that, made it. But we're completely detached from those simple things. And so where do you buy your vegetables? Where do you get your vegetables from? The supermarket. Why? But where do those come from? They have to come from the earth. They have to be grown. So you need healthy earth to grow these vegetables or those fruits that you're buying or those nuts that you're collecting and eating. But if we keep polluting the planet, eventually there's not going to be a place to grow these vegetables. So then what are you going to eat? Right? So healing ourselves also means healing everything around us. Because as we become more aware of our health, our body, and what's happening in our surroundings, we become much more conscious of our own effect on this planet. And what the little things that we can start changing in our lives to make it, a better place and a healthier place, really. Now, the way of the shaman is to know their tribe. And all the tribe members are equal. There's no castes, there's talents, yes, there's abilities, yes. But the ability to hunt, excuse me, was no better than the ability to tan a skin, or to go for a fish, or to build a hut. They were just talents and abilities. The shaman was in charge of the health and the welfare of the tribe. It was his job to know them well. It was his job to keep them on the right path and to keep them all fed. He was much more than just an energy healer. He was also helping the elders make decisions when discord arrived. Because don't think that, because they were living in the woods that everybody was happy all the time. There were quarrels, but they were resolved right away. They were stopped before they got violent or bad. And they did that by talking to each other, understanding each other. And the shaman in all of the culture is always the key to the community. He was the social worker. He was he was wearing many hats, but he was for the welfare of the tribe. And so that included the 5 bodies that I'm going to talk about next. One of the things the shaman did is that he would be able to read the energies and know where the blockages were into the body. He was using, they believed in a higher power. So whatever the name was, it didn't matter. They brought in this higher power to direct the energy at the people that were sick. They listened to their intuition to know which plant to use. They were very attuned with spirit. That's what made them shaman in the first place. He recognized the divinity of everybody in the tribe. That's why everybody's equal. Right? Because inside of us, we all have a spark of the divine that is burning. And he was looking after the 5 bodies. which means that he didn't just look after the physical body, but he looked after the emotional body, the mental body, the spiritual body, and the etheric body. Those bodies were key to know how was this illness presenting itself. Where did it come from? Why were you all of a sudden having stomach pain, or were you having liver pain, or were you having kidney pain? The shaman knew from observation and from being taught from one generation to the next, and everything was mostly oral traditions, so they had to spend their entire life learning these things, right? But they could see from observation that someone with kidney pain had a lot of anger, unexpressed anger. And someone with the liver had a lot of resentment. This is a resentment thing. So then you would sit with the person and say, and discuss. Where does your resentment come from? Where is this coming from? Why do you have this resentment? Get it out. Let's fix this. Let's work on this together. The emotional body is where your emotions are residing. And nowadays, a lot of people are confusing mental illness with the mental body. Those are very, very different things. Unfortunately, as the world expands and grows, some people use a term and then they apply it, and then we wrongly apply it to a different system that's not using the same words. Most of the mental illness are emotional body based. If you're depressed, it's an emotion. You're sad, you're angry, but things are not going well, and you feel hopeless, and you feel helplessness. Those are all feelings. So all of those come from the emotional body. The mental body is about learning. It's about curiosity. It's about the brain. Alzheimer's is a mental body illness. That one is based in the mental body. And sometimes they're joined as well. So the etheric body is the body of memories. It's your body that registers everything that you've done. So Alzheimer's is closely linked with the mental body and the etheric body. Now, the spiritual body is your soul. So if you have a soul illness, that's when you get to the point of a breakdown, or the midlife crisis, or wanting to quit everything and you sell everything and you put on a backpack and you leave. That's your soul. Any questions on the 5 bodies? No, that's pretty clear, right? So these 5 bodies need to be balanced, and they need to be straightfully aligned to work all together. It's essential that they work together, because otherwise that's when the illness shows. Or at the very least, at first, symptoms show. For example, you have the resentment, you're having pain. But if your resentment goes away, the pain goes away. But eventually, there's a buildup of energy. So then it creates a blockage. So you could have a gallbladder stone. But that too may pass and go away. But eventually, if you don't fix this, it could become a much more important disease. Okay, this is how the symptoms and the illness work. You're getting the message long before you're actually sick. You just ignore it a lot. Until eventually it's really grabbing your attention and shaking you down, going, hey, enough. Pay attention now. And you have no choice. You're completely stopped dead in your tracks. And you have no choice but to sit down and go, why is this happening? Which is a good thing. That's not a bad thing. A lot of people are thinking, oh my God, that's horrible. It's not. Because you're finally listening to your body and the message it's giving you. Now, it's a lot harder maybe because you have a lot more work to do because you've been ignoring it for so long. But you're finally working on it, and that's progress. Now, every shamanic tradition will tell you, you must meditate. It is the key. And people are like, again with the meditation. I get you. Because You're just thinking that meditation is you have to sit quiet in a quiet, special place with your eyes closed with the weird music playing, trying to think of nothing, and it's not working for me. I get that, but that's not meditating. That's not meditating. Meditating is about listening to what's going on inside of you. The first part is to clear away what's affecting you negatively. So as you're starting to meditate, yoga is a form of meditation. The ultimate goal is shavasana. And some people are like, 5 minutes shavasana, man, I couldn't wait for her to tell us to finally get up. You're missing the point. You're exerting your physical body, so your physical body finally lets you lay still and allows your consciousness to bring to the surface what you need to pay attention to. That's what yoga is for. A walking meditation helps you connect with nature and be one with Mother Earth. We have lots of examples on our channel on YouTube of different meditation that requires movement that you can easily do with children. Children, I admit, it's hard to let them sit in this one place. But you say, hey, would you come and try this exercise with me? And they're like, oh yeah, totally. And they're meditating. They are. They're channeling their energy, recentering their energy, and it allows them to meditate. That is what meditation's about. It's about balancing your frequency and your energy. You can meditate with music. Now, I've heard of a new yoga or meditation that included swear words and beer. I don't know, I think it's a little counterproductive at this point. But so, it's not because it's out there that it's great and you should just sign up for just about anything. You still have to be making choices and be aware of what are the choices that you're making here, right? What is the ultimate outcome that you want? But the idea is to listen to your body and the messages it gives you. Listen to your mind. If you're trying to sit there and a whole bunch of things come to your mind, write them down. There's no law against that. Clear your mind by actually listening to it. What a concept. And then realize that it's the same thing over and over and over that are spinning in your head like a tornado. And once they're all on a piece of paper in front of you, you'll realize your brain's going to go, and there it is. Your perfect peace and quiet. You will reach that. You can meditate everywhere. I don't recommend it while you're driving. Obviously, you need to be aware while you're driving. But everything else, you can meditate on a plane. And if you think that the child who's screaming is going to ruin your trip, you can actually learn to meditate with the distraction. It allows you to go in deeper into your meditation. Be grateful for those opportunities where you're actually being challenged, where not everything's absolutely perfect. Because the ultimate goal is for you to be able to meditate anywhere, anytime, except while driving. And I'm saying this because I've had people give it a try because they were getting excited with traffic and they wanted to calm down because they didn't want to go into this road rage thing. And I'm like, yes, but while you're still driving, you have to pull over to the side of the road, park the car, put the hazards on, and then do your thing, right? Be logical, people. Now, when you're meditating, your ultimate goal is really to eventually reach the soul. Because that is where the guidance comes from. But before you can get there, you have to clear the imbalances. And that's when you need to listen to the body, to the mind, and the emotions. If you're upset, be upset. If you're happy, be happy. Be in the moment of the emotion that you're actually having. Let it be alive and bubble inside of you. Have that freedom to feel, because that's okay. That's perfectly okay. Now, we'll take an example of anger. And people are like, oh, but I can't be angry. Yes, you can be angry, because It's because some people got angry that we abolished slavery. It's because women got angry that they got the voting rights and rights to property. And it's because people got angry that children are no longer treated like property and can be sold at 7 years old. Some things are just wrong. Now, what's not okay is to then get so angry that you're destroying property, you're hurting people, you're hitting people. That's not okay. But the initial feeling of saying this is wrong, I'm not happy about this, that's okay. Because that's how we're going to change things to make this a better world. Just like, I'm walking and the person's tossing a coffee cup and I missed a garbage can. And I took the coffee cup and I caught up to them and I said, I'm sorry, you dropped this. And they went, oh, no, I just threw it. I said, oh, well, you might want to try again because you clearly missed. And they looked at me like I was from a different planet, which I am, so it's perfectly okay with me. But, it's angry. I didn't explode. I didn't cause a scene. I didn't call them names. But that's not okay. Be aware that you... And then they looked at me, well, you could have just thrown it in the garbage can. I said, I throw my garbage in the garbage can. Maybe it's time for you to learn to throw your garbage in the garbage can. Just simple little things that will make it a different world that we live in. There's a thing going on Facebook right now. My Facebook feed is awesome. I love it because it's all positive stuff, inspiring stuff. And there's nothing negative about Facebook on my feed. And there's a challenge going around right now for young adults to pick a spot, take a before and after picture, and bring a bunch of garbage bags and clean up that space. It's awesome. It's invigorating. But someone got pissed off and said we need to do something. But instead of throwing rocks and destroying things, they just came up with this idea. Let's see if our challenge is going to work. And it will work. Some people will follow that and say, oh, you know what? That's inspiring. That's a great idea. Let's try this. Let's do this weekend. Let's just clean that stupid part where we used to go when we were kids and now it's like a dump. As communities, you have these communities that do come together and they say, you know what? We've had enough of this garbage all over the place. We're going to clean it up for us. And they do that. And then the whole neighborhood changes. It's not just that the neighborhood is clean, it's the frequency of that neighborhood that is different. It's nicer to live in. People feel better. And actually, now that it's clean, it's easier to keep clean. And they're happier. There's more smile. If someone observed the before and after, they could calculate an increase in smiling and eye contact from cleaning a neighborhood. The effects of working together as people to bring a healthier living environment for ourselves improves our own health. So, the shaman would encourage the people in his tribe to eat healthier, to participate in some form or other of physical activity. Now, again, a lot of people don't like the gym. Did I say gym? No, I said physical activity. It means get off the couch and go for a walk. That's a physical activity. Or my sister's 7 years old. I said, get off the couch, go to Tai Chi. And she's like, at my age? I was like, totally at your age. She's having the time of her life. She's going twice a week, and she thinks it's the most wonderful thing that's happened to her in years. She just loves it. Go with your level of fitness and just get off the couch and do something. Because while you're doing your physical activity, you will meet people. And again, you're growing your community. You're growing your eye contact. You're growing a sense that you're belonging to something. And always be curious. Always try to develop your inner abilities. Or be curious and learn something new. And it doesn't matter if it's painting, crafting, sewing, or if it's, I don't know, how to design a floor arrangement. Be creative. Go out there and spend some time developing that mental body. All your 5 bodies need to be developed continuously throughout your lifetime. So there's not a time where it's better or worse. If we continuously exercise our 5 bodies, the mental, emotional, spiritual, physical, and etheric body, we are living in harmony with our 5 bodies. Very good. And then the other thing that the shaman did is that he helped you discover your true purpose. You serve the purpose in the community. And because we no longer really have a community, we don't know what purpose we serve. We've lost our sense of purpose because we've lost that community. We must return and know, what is my role? Why am I on earth right now? What did I come here to do? And the best way to find those things out is ask yourself, what did you want to do when you were little? Start there, because that's when you were the most connected to your soul, and the answers were much clearer then. For me, I started with wanting to be a stewardess because I wanted to travel the world and I wanted to explore all the cultures of the world. It was important that I knew about all the cultures in the world. And then I realized it's cool. I do love to travel. But I don't always have to go somewhere. I can read about it. I can see videos about it. I can meet people that came from these different countries and they can talk to me about it. But again, I gotta get off the couch and I have to interact with these people. I have to be curious and I have to ask the question. And then my other one was I wanted to be a translator at the UN, United Nations, to help people talk the same language so they would stop fighting, because most disagreement is because they can't hear what the other person is saying or understand what the other person is saying. Like, wow, what am I doing here today for you guys? I'm trying to explain concepts that I've learned and that people are often mixing up and misunderstanding. And if I can clarify enough of these things through these podcasts or these videos, I'm hoping that your attitude, your behavior, your thinking patterns will change with it and make this place a better place. Yeah? So the humans understood that their challenges were what brought them appreciation for what they had. It was through the challenges that they actually understood and realized we are growing. We're not the same persons. So trials and tribulations were accepted as a rite of passage. In the book that I just wrote, I explained these rites of passage, these initiations that are mandatory for every single human being on the planet. And we need to look back at our life history and go check, where was my initiation? Joseph Campbell talks about the journey of the hero, and you are the hero of your own life. That's a fact. And he identifies at some point that you're being swallowed by the whale, like Pinocchio was. And when does Pinocchio get absorbed by the whale? At a time where he actually is he has a breakthrough, he's trying to escape the island of the bad kids because they get transformed into donkeys. And he's got the ears, but he's changing his behavior, and he's leaving the island, and he's trying to return to Geppetto. You're thinking, oh my gosh, the kid's got it, right? And he gets swallowed by the whale. And this swallowing of the whale, Joseph Campbell says, it's essential. You must go through this period of darkness. You must be isolated from the world. This is Joseph Campbell. Now, in the eastern countries, they speak of going into a cavern. It's not a whale. They don't have an ocean. But they have mountains, and they have holes in the mountains. You have to go and isolate yourself. Because this new awareness that you've just figured out, something massive, has to be integrated. Has to become a part of your everyday life. And before anybody else influences you, because that's what happens to Pinocchio on the island. He gets influenced, here, have a beer, have a cigar, and he turns green. And we think that these children's stories are just children's stories, but they're not. They're explaining very, very, very important life changes and the life grows. But we stop looking at the meaning of it because there's nobody else left to explain it. And so, in those traditions, they send you to the cave or they isolate you, just like when Pinocchio goes into the well, because it's not a time. It's a fragile time. You had an awareness, but this awareness is not inside of you, and unless you can include this in your practice, it's easy for you to lose it. And I kept losing mine all the time. I'd know something, and then I would be affected by an exterior event, and I would stumble down the mountain again. And I'd come back up, and I'd be affected again, until I entered the belly of the whale, where I was able to finally integrate. And then there's what Joseph Campbell calls the return home. And you have to leave the cave. You have to leave the cave. And you have to go into the world. Because you have to test yourself. So the tests and tribulations are a gift. Because then you can see, ooh, hey, I'm doing this differently. I'm actually reacting differently. I'm actually thinking differently. I'm changed. Right? So that was the role of the shaman. Now, I have some examples here of illnesses, but a really good book to help you find what's going on in your body. If you start listening, right? What's wrong with my wrist, and what's wrong with my elbow, and then you're going to say, oh, but she didn't talk about the knees. And so an excellent book is Louise Hay, How to Heal Your Life. She actually developed for several years this book, and it's been expanding, and she just recently passed away, and it's a great loss to all of us. But she has affirmation and explanation for all these parts of the body, migraines, eye pain, to kidney, to everything else. So it's a great reference for you to have, to go look it up. When you're receiving a message from your body, instead of taking Advil, go open the book and say, oh, my body right now is trying to tell me I'm going in the wrong direction. That's why my ankle hurts. And so you can then meditate on it, and you can work on it. But at least you got the message. And as soon as you get the message, excuse me, it disappears as quick as it came. Now, there's the odd times when the illness actually comes from a past life. And we got this information by Edgar Casey. So Edgar was doing all these readings, and then eventually this person came and they had this specific pain, and he's like, well, this entity, which is how he referred to humans in this sleeping pattern of giving information, is experiencing a past life issue, a karma that's not been resolved, and it's been carried into this life, and so therefore something different must be done. So you have to know the difference. But honestly, 95% of the time, it's concurrent to this life. It's simple. You know, like Einstein would say, the simplest explanation is oftentimes the right explanation. Don't go digging too deep. There's no need for that. So, as I explained with the rainbow has a frequency, and if you're always wearing black, you're not helping yourself. Wear some color, okay? And yeah, it could be a T-shirt, it could be a scarf. Scarves are a great idea. It could be a purse. You can accessorize with color. It could be a hat, it could be gloves. Get out of the black. I know, look at me, I'm wearing black, but I'm traveling right now, so my suitcase is limited in what I gotta wear. But if you look at my closet at home, I literally have every color of the rainbow in my closet. Wear color. Or put the walls of your house in a specific color to reinforce this vibration inside your body. Color, it can be as simple as printing a page of red, or buying construction paper that is orange. and just planting it in your cubicle. And people are gonna go, that's an orange square. And you're gonna say, yeah, yes it is. And they're gonna go, okay. And for those of you who are fancier and have more of a decorative style, you can print an image of a bunch of yellow roses. The focus being on yellow, right? These colors affect you and help reintroduce the right frequency into your body through the chakras. If you want to know which chakra you should need, which place is blocked, I have an awesome book for you guys, The 13 Chakras, a System of Ancient Egypt. That's a great reference where you can find these information. It also talks about which sounds, which frequency goes with which part of the body, and which organ, and which gland, and which disease or imbalances you have in your body. And it's very important, above it all, that you unplug, can't say this enough, let go of, watching videos on end for hours, and listen to your soul, and find what works for you. There's no perfect recipe for this. There can be as many different ways to do this as there are people on this planet. So 7 billion ways. One of them works for you. Find it and just stick with it. And communicate. And to communicate, you need to be with people. You need to be with people. We are humans, but we are above and beyond being humans. We are souls trying to learn lessons, and it's really hard to learn lessons on your own. So if you can, get out of your rabbit hole there, and slowly start going out into the world and communicating. Communicate through music. Communicate through activities or dancing, or just leave the space where you're boxed in and you think, oh, I'm safe here. Yes, okay, sure, but what are you learning? How are you growing as an individual? How are you changing your life to the life that you want? If you're that scared, you need to examine what got you there. Because right now, you're giving all your power away to your fears instead of giving the power to your life. And communicating means not just using words, it means also listening, right? Sometimes it's important to listen. Have you been hearing the same message over and over and over? And have you paid attention to this message? When I was younger, yes, I can say that now. When I was younger, I kept having people say, oh, you should write a book. You should write a book. And I'm like, which book would that be? Oh, yeah. Well, I don't even know why I said that, but I think you should write a book. Oh, okay, thanks. And I had, family members saying, yeah, you should write that book. I'm like, what book is it that you think I should write? It was not specific. It was very vague. But I kept hearing that message until I started writing. And then I wrote one book, and I wrote 2 books, and 3, and 4, and 5. And now I just, all of a sudden, I'm writing a lot of books. Because I have a lot to say. And I realize the importance of making sure that all those things are said now and somewhere printed for the future. Express your needs. We're being taught that it's selfish to say I want. But is it selfish to say I want a hug? Is it selfish to say I want some help in the kitchen today? Is it selfish to say I need a break? No, it's not. And it's okay to say it out loud. And maybe if we can actually start communicating with each other our needs and our wants, and we can realize that other people feel like us. I need a change. Okay? And then you can find people just like you who are ready to change with you and go on this journey with you. True lasting healing finally comes from forgiveness. There is no true healing until you finally release the forgiveness. I was actually having a conversation with my sister today, and she's like, do you think you still need to work on this stuff? And I said, actually, I've forgiven these things to everybody else. But have I forgiven myself? Have I given myself the love I deserve? Have I loved myself enough? So it doesn't matter how advanced you think you are, or how great you think you're spiritually advanced and all that stuff. Always be humble in asking those simple questions of yourself. And honoring yourself and saying, you know what? I think I need to hear you say I love you. I need this right now. Or I need a hug right now. I go around hugging people all the time. And people love it because they say to me, I love it because I love your hugs. They're real hugs. And I'm thinking, what's a false hug? What does that look like or even feel like? Screw this, man. Come on in, take that hug. Don't be afraid. Stop being afraid. Fear is literally the worst saboteur in your life. So identify your fears and then move forward. Which brings me to talking about Psych-K. Now, this is Rob Williams, the originator of Psych-K. Now, I've been promoting a lot of Psych-K lately, and a lot of people are like, so what's that? So I figured, okay, well, you know what? I'll talk about this. So for the podcast, guys, I already did this, so I'm gonna stop healing naturally now. And if you're interested in the Psych-K, just go look up the Psych-K podcast. But for the people on Facebook and YouTube, just stay tuned, and we're continuing along the way. All right. So Rob Williams is the creator who downloaded this information and just came to the same realization as I did. Okay, so now my beliefs are what are making me sick. My beliefs is what creates these frequencies that are creating disorder inside of me instead of balance. And they come, these beliefs, with fears. And so these fears are your flags to tell you, oh my gosh, I need to change this about myself. Fears are not bad. Originally, they were meant to save your life. They were meant to save you and your 5 bodies and protect you. So who creates your fears? Anybody?
Self-created.
Yeah.
They're self-created, but which part of you creates the fear?
Mine?
The ego. The ego. The fears come from ego. Because ego got such a bad rep, poor guy. But ego is there to preserve you. It is literally its function. So it will create fears. However, what ego doesn't seem to quite understand is that if I was afraid of something when I was 5, perhaps, and now that I'm 35, I don't have to be afraid of that anymore. But in your mind, you create those false beliefs because you're 5, and you don't understand quite what's going on around you, and you don't quite understand how the world works, and so it becomes a scary place. And you develop these false beliefs, or these erroneous beliefs, or these beliefs that maybe were true, but don't have to be true anymore. Okay? So, Rob Williams was his greatest supporter is Bruce Lipton. He is the author of The Biology of Belief, Spontaneous Evolution, and the Honeymoon Effect. Okay, so you have other people that have written about this process and believe in the process. I'm a firm believer. It's changed my life completely because it unites your subconscious to your mind. Now, I have a lot of people come to me and say, well, I know this. And I'm like, yes, I understand you know this. I didn't say you were stupid. But do you feel this? And then they can't answer because they don't know what's in their subconscious. Now, when we were talking about the Hawaiian spiritual practices, we do say the subconscious is the emotional part. That's where your emotional is stored, and it's confusing because they're stored in the dark. There's not big lights being shined on there. It's complicated. Emotions are difficult. And this Psych-K method unites your emotion, your subconscious, with your conscious, your mind. So it's really easy. You stay conscious the entire time. You are aware of everything that's going on. And it's not a struggle because you decide what you don't want anymore and what you really want. And we just pluck what you don't want out of your subconscious and we just replace it with what you want now. How you want your life to really be like. Because if you can stop the saboteur, stop your fears from ruining everything that you do and all the choices that you're making. Like how many of you out there, you're almost there, you're almost touching success and boom, everything comes crashing down. How many times does that happen? Okay, so why does this happen? Why do we sabotage ourselves? Because you have a fear. And this fear will expose you. This fear will put you out into the world, and you might be judged, and people might not love you. People might have, I don't know, people might leave you because we develop these fears of abandonment, of rejection, fear of, come on, people, help me out.
Failure.
Huh?
Failure.
Fear of failure, fear of success.
Rejection.
Right? So these are real fears. And that's when you almost got it, you can almost touch it, that's right, and it evaporates into thin air. In my biography, I explain this is what happened at this stage. So you have to go back to the stage you're at. You're 3, you're 4, you're 5, you're 7. You can't comprehend what's going on the level an adult does. And then you create this false belief. I'm being rejected right now, or I'm unlovable right now, or
Not enough.
I'm not enough right now, right? And I'll never be enough. Because then you have another example where you're not enough, and you have another example where you're not enough, and then you develop the concept that you'll never be good enough. So, the reason why it's okay now to look at these beliefs and that you're safe looking at these beliefs is because you're older. You have evolved. You have a bigger brain, you have a bigger concept of the world, you have the ability to think, you have all these things that you didn't have before. And so you can logically look at these things without being traumatized, might I say. You're not being traumatized at all. And so you are able to actually realize your goals and create what you want to create. Now, your two brains are working sometimes together, but most of the time very separate, very individual of each other. So the left brain does all the logic, the analysis, the mathematics, the computations, the facts, the language. So if you're a strong left brain, you'll be strong in all of those things. If you're a strong right brain, then that's the imagination, the creativity, the intuition, the arts, the rhythm, music. The words of a song go into the left brain, but the actual music goes into the right brain. So why do we have composers and do we have singers or songwriters? Because that's left brain and that's right brain. Someone that is what's called whole brain is an author-composer. And there's very, very, very few of those. Very few. So now, the idea of Psych-K, what is it? Is to actually join the two brains. So that you're not trying to be an artist and you can't write your songs. And you're trying to sing your songs, but you can't get the music to it. This is a simple example, a very direct example. So you're always depending on something else, right? So the composer is depending on an orchestra to play his music, or a singer to put words to a song, and is that going to destroy his song? Because he's got no control over what's happening with what he's trying to create. It's the same thing with all of the fears that you have in your, whatever you're trying to create. If you're not whole brain to the ideas that you're trying to put forward and you're trying to create, you're always missing half of what you need. So, Psych-K is not new, by the way. It's been around for like 25 years. And the tools that we're using is literally to make connections with small exercises and muscle testing. So it's really easy. So I have this really cute little comic strip here. This guy wants this dream job. Who doesn't want his dream job? And so he goes to see me. That's me. He goes to see me and he says, okay, so I always sabotage myself. I got a strong resume. I've hired someone to do the resume and we've worked on it. It's strong. I get to the interview and I crash. I get to the interview and I got all these butterflies in my stomach. They ask me questions about stuff I definitely know, but somehow I can't communicate well. And so little me identifies the key that needs to change and unlock this for this person. Okay, so then it's your ability to communicate your own personal abilities. And the person's like, well, yeah, when you put it that way. Okay? I'm like, well, how do you want to put it? And you can choose in your own word how you want to put this. So it's not something that I do, it's something that we do together. I don't impose anything on you, but we work on it together. And through muscle testing, we see if this is the correct statement for you, and if this muscle statement needs to be reinforced through linking both sides of your brain. So now we celebrate because we did it. It's that simple. The ability to find the goals, I think that's the biggest challenge, because you need to work with someone who is gentle and yet can help you dig to find the real reason why you're failing at this interview. And with my knowledge as a shaman, what helps me is I'm like, okay, so but you're feeling this pain in your stomach. Your stomach is your solar plexus. Your solar plexus is all about your abilities and about who you are and your abilities and your gifts, right? So there's a part of you that doubts that you're good enough. So it's not really that you're failing the interview, you're failing yourself. You're failing the ability to express who you are. Because what? When you grew up, someone told you, shut up, be humble. My gosh, what other example can I have?
Speak when spoken to.
Speak when spoken to, right? Or be humble, right? These things add up and then eventually get in the way of us being our full potential. So that's what is Psych-K. Now, the mind's like an iceberg, literally. There's the little part of the conscious mind, and then there's the subconscious that is really, really deep, hidden in the dark under the water. With Psych-K, what we do is we examine the subconscious. We shine a light on it. We take a submarine if we have to, and we go underneath, and we go and examine all the crevices and where everything is hidden in the dark. And we shine the light on it, and we say, okay, that's enough. I will speak, I'm an adult, I'm responsible, I have ideas, I am important, I have an education, I can do this. I never went to a job and didn't get it, because that never was my problem. But ask me how my relationships have been. Catastrophe. So someone being successful in a business doesn't necessarily mean they'll be successful at everything. Because somewhere, somehow, infiltrated those sabotaging thoughts, beliefs. Mine were all in relationships. I recognize that, so now I can work on that. Right? But I've had people say to me, I don't understand. I'm so successful. Why when I come home do I feel like crap? Because that's at home. And the reason why you're so successful is because you needed to be successful, because you needed to be recognized. So you took a very public job so that people would value, throw flowers at you and give you awards, because you need it, because you actually have a very low self-esteem. These sometimes are very shocking to the people. They're like, wait, what are you saying? What do you mean to have a low self-esteem? You're able to recognize your business success because everybody else recognizes it. But now it's time for you to look at yourself as a person, which is different as a person and than a business person. So that's what we do. We examine your beliefs, your values, your self-confidence, your habits, your emotions, your resistance to change. Why do you resist change? Because every time we change something, a catastrophe happens. Sometimes it's as simple as that. Now, I'm not saying that 100% of your beliefs are bad. That's not true. Some of them are really, really good. And we're not touching those. Right? Why change something that works? Don't fix something that's broken. Don't replace it either. So we work with only the things that need to be worked on. Only the things that need to be replaced and understood and shine light on. And so what happens is then the water level goes down. And there's less and less information hidden in your subconscious. And you become a soul-infused personality. You become a fully aware, conscious person. The name of the business in Quebec in French is called the Awakened Consciousness, because that's literally what we do now. We're empowering each individual to be the best individual that they can be in order for them to then go out into the world as a fully aware, conscious person. So then they themselves can affect the world and change the world that they live in. And I would used to say one person at a time, and now I say one community at a time. Because the people that come here then go to their own group of people. It's not really one person at a time. It's a group of people at a time. The change is happening a lot faster now. Things are moving faster. And so we need to prepare ourselves to be ready for this new world that's emerging. This exciting new world, this beautiful new world. It's the end of the world in a way, but just of the world that we used to know. The planet's still going to be there tomorrow, but it's going to be different. It's going to be more pleasant, more peaceful. So, you can change through Psych-K your self-esteem, but you can also change your relationships. And relationships can be a relationship with a person, relationship with your boss, but it could be a relationship with your dog, relationship with your bird, relationship with I did it with my book, to make sure that my book was happy. Like, that was mind-blowing. There's no limit to what you can change. You can change your prosperity, you can change and heal your spirituality. So if you've had a bad experience with religious organization or religion per se, you detached yourself from all of it, sadly, you're detaching yourself from your higher power. You're disconnecting from your soul. These are key things that you need in order to succeed. So we help you reunite and heal and bring you to this place that you can be whole again. We can work on your health, we can work on your body, we can work on your personal power. It also helps with grief and loss. And grief and loss could be grieving the loss of your breast to breast cancer. It could be grieving the loss of a pet. It could be the grieving of a relationship that ended, right? There's all sorts of kinds of griefs and loss. So we're starting with something, and we're seeing what's the best way to heal this? What's the best way to undo the harm that it's being causing and wrecking, like a wrecking ball? We're removing that. We're not removing the experience. You're not going to forget about it. You're going to remember it, but you're going to be at peace with it. You're going to understand the lesson that you came to learn with this experience. And there's no limit to it, because you can create your own. I'm working with you in order for you to be happy, So it's whatever you need. Now, how does it work? A session of Psych-K is usually about around an hour. We work on determining the belief we want to change, examining your fears or your emotions or whatever. We start somewhere, and then we make a list of the changes that you want, and then we apply that through the muscle testing response. And after we verify that everything is integrated, usually after an hour, people have changed 10, 12 things about themselves. And the very next day, start seeing changes. If the integration may take a little longer, they still know when the shift occurs. They can tell, wow, hang on a second, I reacted completely differently to this. This is not the way I would normally react. Wow, okay, so it did change. Something did happen to me. So there's the immediate response, and then there's a long-term response. And both of those are so impressive that the people can't stop raving about it. Because they're now in charge. They're deciding where their energy is going. Mm-hmm. They're deciding where their time is going to be going. So, I had one person that was going blind from calcium deposit on their optical nerve, and they were going to lose their driver's license. They failed the test, and their whole work revolves around driving from one job to site to another to supervise the employees, and this was caused an immense amount of stress, because then, how are they going to pay the bills? How are they going to survive? And ask for a Psych-K session. I'm not sure if they really believed at first, but they went to do the test the very next day, and they passed. And they reported since that their colors are more vivid. They can see things more clearly. I had someone who was having a difficult relationship with their boss, and their evaluation is coming up. So we did a relationship balance in order to make sure that what she wanted was that her boss can see her for who she really is and all the time and effort she puts into her job for the evaluation to come true. The very next day, this person received a call from the boss, and the boss said, "Do you know how much I really appreciate your work around here and how you're indispensable to us?" And it was the first time in 5 years that this person was actually acknowledged by her boss. I have another one who was in chronic pain for 6 years and was able to free herself from this pain, and is free now to choose a whole new life for herself. And the stories go on and on and on. If you want more testimonies, you can check on Facebook, on Google. The testimonial page on the website is going to have more. There's everybody is impressed with how easy this technique is. So if it doesn't seem to work, because it does happen once in a while, it doesn't seem to work. So I have to ask my question, so why doesn't this work? What happened? And then with a little bit of experience always helps, we realized there was the wrong information. It's, you have to find the right affirmation. You have to dig. You have to be ready to change. And that's the key to this. I can bring awareness to your consciousness about an issue. I can change the programming, but you still gotta want to change. Just like an alcoholic, gotta want to stop drinking. You can't say, "Well, I went to 5 meetings, and why am I still an alcoholic?" Well, because you still have to make that choice not to drink. It's not gonna do everything for you, but it will do amazing things to enable you to do what you want. So, I was saying, I unfortunately cannot just wave my magic wand and go bippity boppity boom, boom, and it's going to be all fixed. You have to want to change, and you have to make a bit of an effort. Yes? So, why does it work? Because, again, we have to go back to the beginning of the talk when I explained we're energy. And it's not a new concept. This is why the talks were given in a certain order. Because when I explain the concept from Hawaiian healing and I say, where do you focus your thoughts? Where do you focus your energy? This is where it leads to. If your energy is not focused in the right place, if your energy is bouncing all around, or if your energy is being stopped by fears all the time, well, now you have a very specific, efficient way of dealing with it. I'm not saying the other methods are not great, but this one is definitely like the Porsche of all methods. If you don't like Porsche, go with anything else you like that is fast, fancy, and very shiny. It's effective. Now, beliefs are built from either you growing up with certain parents or a certain culture or a certain country. I travel a lot. I worked with people from Germany, and the effects of the war and the way the world still sees Germany is still affecting them today. They're still having beliefs based on that. And it requires some adjustment on my part when I go and work with people from England or people from Sweden. They're very different people. When I work with people from the Netherlands, completely different set of people, completely different set of beliefs. They don't think the same way, they don't act the same way, and so our beliefs are based on that. We have to examine our lives and be honest in that those skills of observation. Again, I recommend the biography that's coming out this week if you want to know how to do that, because I explain it as it's happening, and I literally state, and this is how this belief was created. And this is how this belief was reinforced. And you can see it happening. And you're like, oh my gosh. But of course you see it. I'm in my 40s now. And so it's obvious to me now, as I'm writing these lines, I'm like, well, yeah, wow, of course. But when I'm 5 and I'm scared, I'm not seeing that happening. Okay? And sometimes we develop beliefs, and people didn't mean to scare us. People don't necessarily mean to cause all this chaos in ourselves and our belief system, but it just happens. Because of our age, because of our developmental stage, because of our ability to think and put all these things together into the mix, and that's where the beliefs come from. Okay? So why is it so important to change those beliefs? Because they filter your reality. And because they're in your subconscious, they filter your reality with invisible glasses that you don't even know you're wearing. And what do you get after? Imagine your life without fear. Then you think you're going to have trouble meditating? No. Because all your worry is gone. You can meditate so much better after. And what does meditation bring you but a closeness to your soul, into listening to the message your soul gives you, and then entering into the journey of your soul's purpose on this planet. It's all linked. If there was no link, my friends, I wouldn't be here trying to explain these links. I'm here to show you how it all connects together. And you live in the now as well. Because if you're not afraid, you're not living in the future. And if you're not angry or resentful, you're not living in the past. It allows you to live in the here and now. And how's your here and now? Is your here and now good? For most people, it actually is. It's not that bad right now. What makes it bad is like, but what if tomorrow this happens? Or, but what if that happens? Yeah, but how do you know that these things are going to happen? You don't. Why are you focusing energy there? Why are you sending energy towards them? Let it go. Psych-K helps you let it go. So, Wayne Dyer, the late Wayne Dyer had said, if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And I have the perfect example in my life of this, because when I finally forgave my mother for everything she's done, I could actually see a different person standing in front of me. Because I didn't look at her with anger and resentment. I looked at her with forgiveness and compassion. It wasn't the same individual. Now, if you want to try Psych-K, give me a call, give me a shout, and it'll be my pleasure. And that's it. We're done. It's not bad, it's not bad. Yay!
Yay.
Come on, people, yay!
Yay!
There's actually people here.
Yes, there are.
Is there any questions?
No.
Rose has got a question.
But I don't know if you.
Yeah. No, that's fine. Yeah.
You can go first. Like I have a few, so.
I was just curious about age. Is there an age that you would rather not work with, that you would rather spend?
So what happens with Psych-K? This is an excellent question. I didn't cover that in my talk, so thank you. The age is, you want to work with someone a little bit older with Psych-K, but Psych-K allows you to surrogate for the others that can't answer the question. So you can work with any age. I mean, you can actually work with your dog. So your dog, the dog's gonna go, what, you want my paw? Sure, here, I have my paw. I can't muscle test a dog. But I can have someone surrogate your dog, and I can work then with your dog. So I can work with dogs, animals, children, it doesn't matter. For me?
Teenagers? Like, is that a...
Totally, absolutely. Teenagers are fine, they can just come in themselves. And like I said, we did a relationship balancing with my book. So the other person was the book, and I was me, and we were balancing. And then the book says, but I'm fine with you. And I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, so then we balance the book for the audience. How is the audience going to receive the book? Is the audience going to understand the message behind the book? And it's amazing. So it allows you to work with anything in your life that you may have issues with. So if you're afraid of spiders, we can work with the spiders in you and do, there's no limit to how far we can take this. But usually I encourage people, now this is not totally a personal thing. Psych-K is a registered trademark. I have to do Psych-K a certain way. There's one way of doing it and that's it. But how I select your statements for you, that's something we can work on together. And so I personally think we need to take care of your fears and stop yourself from sabotaging yourself. That's the first Psych-K session you should really have. Right? We should start right there. Now, as I said at the beginning of the talk, I had my first one 3 years ago. I did that 3 years ago. So now I'm free to look at where do I get worried? Because it's not that you'll never be worried again. And this is a big project for me. This book is coming out. And I want to make sure it's going to be smooth and it's going to come out and it's going to be well received. That's important for me. So then we did a Psych-K for that. So if you're interested in learning how to do Psych-K, it's really easy. Anybody can do it. And we're going to have a class in September here in Coquitlam, British Columbia. And we will have one in November in Montreal area as well. So if you want information on that, you email me or send me a message. I will be more than happy to pass on the information. We will also have this information on the website. We'll have the information on the newsletter. All this is coming, but we're just swamped right now because the book is coming out Friday. So just didn't make all these updates yet, but they're all coming. But good question. Yes, dear.
I guess I wanted to know, because you mentioned one session, do you go through several sessions? Or how does it work?
Well, you start with the one,
Okay.
right? And then you see how much life changes occur.
Okay.
And then, if you feel there's more things to change, then sure, you get another session, right? But usually the sessions are so effective that they affect real change in your life that you need sometimes to adjust.
Right.
You need to regulate yourself to this new reality that you're actually living in. And so to be able to integrate all that, you don't want to come back next week. Take your time, integrate it, and see what's changed. Because you have to make different choices. You need to make different choices in your life. So in order to do all that, you can't just keep coming back every week. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a part of you that now goes off, works this off, and then you take it as far as you can, and then if you need another one, then you come back.
Okay.
Yeah. But you know, the depending if you do a session for your physical body, and then once your physical body is healed, you realize your emotional body needs support in the change. Well, let the physical body integrate and to go through those changes, and then sure, we'll work on the emotional body.
So you work on one body per at a
But
time, or
you want to work on a theme,
A
and
theme,
you want to clear that whole team.
right?
Did I say that right there? Yes, good. You want to clear all that out of the way. So that's usually 1 hour. And then once you have something else in your life that once you see how successful that is, and you want to continue with that, then sure, just make another appointment. Other questions? Okay, going down. You said you had a few.
No, I think it's good. Yeah.
It's good?
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Anything else? No questions on the live feeds?
No.
No? Well, then that's the end of the evening tonight. I thank you all for coming. I thank the people who are watching us and leaving comments. I always appreciate that. And we'll see you next week for our hybrid talk.
Yay.
Yay!
If I just click the X.
You the button, the red button. Okay.
That one there I can do. This is live. Yeah, I think the X button might be the one.